So when we're talking about the Lakers and we're talking about OKC, right, these are two teams with heavy expectations in the West. Let's start with OKC. From their experience they got last year to finishing 68-14 this year, I mean, it's hard to say they finished first with 68 wins, but how legit are they as far as a playoff team?
Oh, listen, they're legit. There's no question about it. The only concern is that they don't blow you away with experience. They oodle talent, right? They just got mounds of talent. They're probably going to have the MVP. They have all NBA defenders all across the board. They move it well. They shoot it well. They do everything at a high level. I think it's just that when you look at the path they're going to have to go through and how much depth there is in that Western Conference and how many former champions that they're going to have to deal with potentially. And I think that's what makes this so challenging, especially coming off of what happened last season with the disappointment of losing in that second round.
Love them. I mean, everything the GA said. They've shown they were the best team in the entire, National Basketball Association. The way they came back from last year, they defend. I love both Jalen Williams. I think the one that's coming off the bench, the big, he can be really impactful with his passing, with his shooting the basketball. Chet hasn't got into the rhythm, I think, GA, that he was before the injury, but he's starting to come. I love Hardenstein. And they probably have the MVP. So this is going to be interesting to watch them. They have the talent. They have the tools. They just haven't been there before.
SGA is obviously going to get more attention in the playoffs. I mean, do you think his game translates the way he played in the regular season over to the playoffs?
Yes, and I think it translated last year. I mean, he was really good. The problem was what our concern is coming into this season. Will Jalen Williams and the rest of that supporting cast, can they raise their level offensively? Can they be counted on when the adversity hits? Because that's what the postseason's about. It's a different animal. Your coaching's going to have a bigger impact in terms of game plan, schemes. How do you use your rotation? Like sometimes you can come into the postseason as OKC is with a girth of talent, but now as a coaching staff, do you stay with that or do you shrink it? Like that, their coaching staff's going to have a lot of pressure on them in terms of how they want to approach this, especially if they, let's say, go down a game early in the postseason. So, like, there's a lot yet to be determined. They are a great young team. They could be great for a long time. The question is, are they going to be good enough to withstand what's about to hit them in this postseason?
What about the Lakers? Have you seen enough of Luka Doncic with that team, him and LeBron James and that chemistry to say, hey, they're a real contender?
No, they're a real contender when they made the trade. Obviously, you want to see how far they can go. They are scary because you have two guys that can just take over a game. Two guys with probably, like Isaiah Thomas said the other day, the highest basketball IQ of the two guys in this playoffs. And then you have a guy in LeBron James. We talk about his age, Jerry Nabil, but if you give a guy like this who's played such a high level, his numbers are compared to some of his MVP seasons at 40, you don't want to give him a chance because why not? He's going to try to make history and say, hey, I did it at 40. So I'm looking forward for their run. I'm a little suspect of the guys up front, their front court, but other than that, yes, they have a chance.
Yeah, the thing also that they have, you talk about that collective basketball IQ, the thing that they have that I don't think anybody else in the Western Conference has is that they have two guys that can control a game. That's different than two guys that can get 30. When I talk about control a game, I mean the ball can be in their hand for the majority of the game, and they can literally make every possession that leads to winning. There aren't a lot of guys in the league that can do that. They have two of them. The question is going to be, to Smitty's point, is that supporting cast going to be good enough? Are the Jarrett Vanderbilts, the Dorian Finney-Smiths, the Austin Reeves, the Jackson Hayes, I shouldn't even put Austin out because Austin's proven himself, the Rui Hachimuras, do they get enough from those guys? Can they make enough winning plays? And if that's the case, then this Lakers team, they're going to be a handful because they got two guys that you really can't game plan against. You cannot stop LeBron and Luka if they're playing their game.
Yeah, and one of those guys is going to be on the court at all times, which is kind of crazy, right?
Yeah, for sure. And then what position do you put them? They're positionless.
Yeah.
And they both got unbelievable size.
It is going to be wild. In the East, let's talk about the play-in matchups. And we begin with Atlanta taking on Orlando. And for the Atlanta Hawks, this just feels like it happens every season, right? They got some play-in experience. When you look at the regular season series, it was tied at 2. Paolo Banchero did his thing. Trae Young did his thing. So when you look at that and kind of consider what we have seen so far, who do you give the advantage to?
Well, I give a slight edge to Orlando in part because they're going to be home, and they've got more of a two-headed monster right now with Wagner and with Paolo. And I think defensively they're a little better. Having said that, though, Trae Young has been known to kind of make something out of nothing. And so I'm expecting him to play at a really high level. And he's one of those guys, Smitty, you know this, that can put a lot of pressure on an opposing defense, especially in a one-and-done scenario where they're probably not going to be the favorite, and he's going to be able to play with a free mind.
Yeah, the same. I mean, Orlando's missing players, and obviously Atlanta Hawks has had some injuries. Coming down to Trae Young is used to this moment, but I just think Paolo and Wagner are two guys that really can take over and being at home. I'm totally in agreement with GA. You give them a slight edge, but in a one-game scenario with Trae Young, don't be surprised he put up somewhere like 30 and 16 because he lives for these type of moments.
And do you think any of these teams, whatever team that comes out of this, do you think they could give another team trouble in a playoff matchup?
Well, whoever wins this will be the 7th seed,
right.
So they're playing against Boston.
It's going to be tough.
It's going to be really tough.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I would think it'd be a better matchup, I think, Orlando, because they pose a little bit more problems if Jalen Brown's not able to start the season. They have two wing guys that will put a lot of pressure on them, but I would say Orlando, but I think Boston beats both these teams if they have to face them.
Yeah, you'd like to see either team at least put up a good fight. I think Orlando would have the better chance to do that because they've got two guys that, if healthy and had played the whole season, would have been in some postseason award talk. And they are a better defensive team. But having said that, with the injuries that they both have going against the defending champs potentially, I don't really see either putting up that much of a fight against a team like Boston is trying to repeat.
Let's take a look at Miami.
Are we going to be able to control that defensive backboard? That's going to be huge for them. And then if you're Memphis, you got a new coach. You know, are you going to game plan in a manner that's going to allow you to kind of have an impact on both Butler and Curry? They've got to be able to contain Curry. Not that you're going to stop him, but you can't give him 8 to 10 to 12 uncontested open threes every game. I just don't think that's a recipe for success. But this is a really important series, I think, for Memphis, too, big picture, because you know they're about to have a reset in that organization. And you can ill afford to potentially get knocked out early before you even get into the postseason. So this one's going to be exciting.
It is, and just tough for both teams. If you start talking about the beginning of the season, I would have never thought either one of these teams would be in a playoff. Yeah. Neither one of them. Yeah. And obviously injuries have been played, but also there's a situation right now is they both have a chance. That's what's so exciting about the play-in. GA said it, the size of the Grizzlies can really pose a problem to the Warriors. It can make them play differently. And then obviously you have Steph Curry and Jimmy Butler. Who's going to be that guy to be able to match up with one of those two guys? I can't wait to see this one, because these two teams have had a little history.
And in fairness, too, for perspective, both of them won 48 games. Like, it wasn't like they just, backed in. I mean, 48 games typically would get you in the postseason. It just speaks to the depth of that Western Conference.
All right, what about the Kings and the Mavericks? Because the Kings are hard to figure out. They've been a very streaky team all season. They finished 40 and 42, and then the Mavericks obviously know the situation there. But how do you see this one playing out?
Dallas is just unfortunately, everything that's happened, as far as injury-wise. After the trade, everybody was shocked, like I was, and then you looked and you started to look and say, hey, he has no Luka. There's nobody's going to be able to replace Luka, but I was like, this is a deep team if they can get healthy. And then in the big-time blow comes with Kyrie getting hurt. Still a good team, and obviously Sacramento is a team where you have Sabonis and obviously Zach LaVine and DeRozan. I look at this one, I'm going to give the edge to Sacramento.
Yeah, I would have to go with Sac as well. I think they're just a little more explosive offensively, and they got all their guys. Like, they know how they're going to want to play. They don't need anybody to do anything special. I would give them the nod in this. But I tell you, to your point, there's a lot of depth in Dallas. I mean, you think about who's not playing for them, all they've been through, and they've been pretty competitive still, absent all that talent. So that should make for an interesting game. And let's face it, they got nothing to lose.
They got a big team, too.